welcome and thank you for joining us. Today we will be doing our first ever review of a film. I'm hoping to start doing this more regularly, especially this year with so many films that I actually like coming out. Now, this film itself is actually probably the most anticipated film coming out this year. I know that's saying a lot considering the new Star Wars is coming out this year, the new Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, all these films are coming out, Thor 3, but I think this is still the most anticipated film of the year. But that's not to say it's not without its controversy, although once I watched the film, I noticed it really didn't have all that much content to be controversial. I didn't find that much controversy in it. I felt like it was stuff we'd seen in other Disney movies. And it is none other than Beauty and the Beast. The live-action version, starring Emma Watson as Belle, Dan Stevens as the Beast, Luke Evans as Gaston, Josh Gad as LeFou, and many other great actors. So to begin with, I'll just give you a quick synopsis of the movie without doing any spoilers. This will be pretty much spoiler-free, I guess, although there's not much to spoil in this movie. Unless you haven't seen the all-time great animated feature of the same name from Disney, there's really nothing to spoil. But I'll try not to spoil some of the new stuff that's going on. Overall, on IMDb I gave this an 8 out of 10 stars. It was great in some areas, just unbelievable in some areas, blew away my expectations, and I was even expecting a lot out of this, but it still blew them away. But there were some little areas here and there that just didn't quite sit well with me. Didn't fit where I thought the film should have gone or could have gone. Definitely could have done better in some areas. But overall, great film. We enjoyed it. Took the family out to see it. My wife really enjoyed it. She loved the original. I like the original even. I'm a guy, I'll admit it. The original was good, but this one, same level, same quality, just as good as the animated feature. It overall, very good movie. The controversies around LeFou and his character, I didn't see really anything worse than I've seen in any other Disney film, so I don't know where all the controversy is coming from. I actually think it was more of a PR stunt by the director to try and drum up some more ticket sales there at the last minute. I really didn't see much that could be considered controversial. It was no worse than what the original film was, and the original film had some issues in that, even though it wasn't ever brought up. I see it, now that I'm older, I go back and watch the original film, and there were hints of, the controversy of homosexuality there. If you really look at it, it was there. But this film, great, no problems. You can let your kids watch it. It's a little intense at times, a little bit more intense than the cartoon because it is live action. The CGI was great, one of the best CGI films, especially with as many CGI characters as they had. Tons of great actors. The acting list, Emma Watson, great. Yeah, Luke Evans is awesome. Josh Gad, everyone loves Frozen and loves Olaf. But you've got Kevin Kline, you've got Ewan McGregor, Ian McKellen, Emma Thompson, Stanley Tucci. These guys are just big names on their own. And here they are playing supporting roles in this, and they all did pretty good. I'll get into each individual character review here in just a second. Starting with the look of the film, great look. The lighting, everything looked well. Costumes were great. Like I said, the CGI was great. Well, each of the characters, Lumiere, Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts, they all looked, like realistic interpretations of what those cartoon characters would look like. Luke Evans was spot on as Gaston. He looked even better than Gaston did in the original. Emma Watson looked amazing, looked beautiful, looked Belle-ish. She looked the part. She looked like a bookworm, very smart, very independent woman. Luke Evans, played off that well. He was able to work well. Josh Gad could have been a little shorter, but he played LeFou well. The Beast, looked good. Looked good. He was a lot of CGI, so it was hard for them to make it perfect, and he was such a large physical character in the film. I think one major problem I have with the Beast is they revealed way too much of him in the actual trailers. Yeah, you got to see all of him in the trailers. You got to see the yellow dress. You got to see them in the dance. You got to see everything in the trailers from the original film, all the big parts of the film, and I felt like they could have hidden a lot of that. I felt like really and truly the marketing campaign for this was horrible. They showed way too much that they could have kept hidden. Revealed little bits and pieces, revealed like a little snippet of his cloak or something real fast. Reveal the dress just briefly or parts of it, never revealing Emma and the whole thing. I think there were ways they could have done that better, but overall the film itself looked great. Each character looked great. Voice acting. I'm going to start with the ones I liked in order. Starting number 1, Emma Watson as Belle completely made me even forget about the original Belle. I don't even know who does her voice anymore. It's like Emma Watson is Belle, and she will be Belle from now on. She was able to rock that role. She was able to knock it out of the park. She made it her own. She made it better than the original, which didn't seem possible, but she did. She did a great job. This was a career-making moment for her, even though she's already got Hermione that she'll always be remembered as. Well, now people are going to look at her and say, no, that's Belle. Yeah, she was Hermione for a while, but she's Belle. And I think that'll solidify her in Hollywood legend. Moving on to the next one I liked the most after Belle was Gaston. Luke Evans is amazing. He's got the chiseled look. He's just cool. It just like drips off of him, his awesomeness. And he had that smirk, he had the grin, he had the talk, he had the walk. Everything was working for him. I mean, he embodied everything that Gaston was, and the original Gaston in the cartoon was awesome. He was a great portrayal of the smug job. Luke Evans brought that to life in a way that I don't think many actors could have. The only few actors out there I think could have pulled that off, maybe Hugh Jackman, maybe. But even still, Hugh Jackman, I don't know. Luke Evans was able to pull it off, but Hugh Jackman I think might have been able to match it, but that's about the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Luke Evans was just awesome. It's sad that I don't think this movie's. I hope it gets some Academy Awards. Belle, Emma Watson definitely deserves an Academy Award for what she was able to do. Luke Evans, Best Supporting Actor, period. LeFou was actually one of my favorite characters, despite all the controversy about him, his sexual orientation out there. I didn't feel there wasn't really a lot of that emphasis in there, like they made it sound like it was going to be this huge thing, and it was actually nothing you haven't seen in a Disney film before. It really wasn't. So, I don't see where the controversy was. I liked actually how his character developed through the film in a way it wasn't allowed to do in the original. He ended up, my favorite scene is actually one of his towards the end. I won't give anything away, but it was a great turning point for his character that with the extra time that this film gave them, they were able to expand upon him, and it was just a great turn. Ewan McGregor as Lumiere was amazing. He was funny. He was witty, he was spot on, he actually, and this is one thing I detract from Emma and Luke and Josh, is Ewan McGregor tried to sound French. This whole movie, this whole story is based in France, and no one in it except Ewan McGregor tries to have a French accent, it seems like. Now, it wasn't the best French accent ever, but he tried. He actually put a funny French accent in there, like Lumiere from the cartoon. But, everyone sounded very British. It sounded much like a bunch of British actors playing French characters. They were all great. It was great acting, but Lumiere was the only one that actually tried to throw in a French accent. Those were the characters I liked most of all. Some characters that I just kind of liked that were just kind of there. The Beast, his voice, sounds pretty modified. Little bit to give it some boom, but it was a very convincing voice. He did a very good job. He was witty. He was still able to bring in some emotion, even though it was a digitalized face on him for the most part. So Dan Stevens did a pretty good job there. On par with what the Beast was in the original film. I wouldn't say he blew it away, but he did good. But he was definitely overshadowed by Emma Watson and Luke Evans and Josh Gad. Those three really carried this film very well. They did it easily. Either one of them could have carried it on their own, but all three of them together just made it great. Next was Stanley Tucci as Maestro. Musician. He was the musician in the house. He's actually more of a extra character that you really didn't see a lot in the original film. I think they did show a piano, or he's not a piano. Harpsichord, I believe, is what he's called. But this time he plays a much larger role. Stanley Tucci, great actor, and he did really well in the part. And then Ian McKellen. This one's kind of 50-50. I like him. Ian McKellen's got a powerful voice. He's got a powerful screen presence. The problem is, much of his skill set was subdued in that he played a clock. He played Cogsworth. Ian McKellen is Gandalf. Ian McKellen is Magneto. Ian McKellen is a powerful presence on film, on the screen. And he wasn't able to do that because the Beast needed to be the powerful presence in this film. And so he had to subdue his voice, subdue his power, subdue his style. And it really hurt him because he didn't get to show his face and his emotions that he can carry with him. He didn't get to use his voice in the way that we're used to hearing him use it, in very kind of sinister tones through X-Men, and very, very wise and ancient tones in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So that character, Ewan McGregor, love him as an actor, but this role just kind of confined him, and it hurt him. Now, of the major characters, and I did forget Kevin Kline, Maurice, the father, Emma Watson's father, Belle's father. Great job. They did change the character up a little bit from the original story. Did a great job with it. Didn't go crazy. He did a good job, brought a lot of emotion to it, spot on. He's a great actor. Definitely a good supporting piece into this film, good supporting role, but overshadowed drastically by the other actors. Now, the biggest glaring hole for me was Mrs. Potts. Emma Thompson is a great actress, but I did not like her in this role. Angela Lansbury was so epic in her portrayal of Mrs. Potts and her voicing of Mrs. Potts in the original, and Emma Thompson just cannot bring that same level of maturity, of caring, of kindness. Emma Thompson's great actress. Nothing against her as an actress. It's just she was not able to bring that kind of presence that Angela Lansbury was able to do in the original Beauty and the Beast, and it really hurts her singing voice. Nowhere near what Angela Lansbury could accomplish. Nowhere near what the other voice singers they had for the Beauty and the Beast. Especially the Tale as Old as Time. Beauty and the Beast song, the classic, the one everyone knows. Emma Thompson, good song. I've got it here playing for you. I'll play it here.
True as it can be.
It lacks. It just doesn't match the quality and the bar that was set by the original Mrs. Potts. Overall, though, great film, great effects. This is something I highly recommend you go see. If you haven't seen it yet, I won't get to go see it again. It is a movie I might consider going to see again if it was just me and my wife this time. Our kids were a little bit troublesome while we were in the theater, but they did good. Overall, you got to go see this movie. If you don't go see it this weekend, go see it next weekend. It's great. It's worth the time. It's worth the money. You will enjoy it. I'm pretty sure you will enjoy it. It's got my recommendation.
My dear Belle, you're so ahead of your time. This is a small village.
You are the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. Nobody deserves you.
And it's small-minded as well. But small also means safe.
I've come for my father.
He's a thief.
Come into the light. I will escape, I promise.
Look, a girl.
Who said that?
Hello.
You can talk.
Well, of course. It's all he ever does.
How lovely to make your acquaintance.
Want to see me do a trick? What happens when the last petal falls?
The master remains a beast forever.
And we become antiques. What did you do to it?
Nothing.
Get out of here! Go!
You have to help me. You have to stand.
If she is the one who'll break the spell, you must finally learn to love.
Tell us all this time.
Have you really read every one of these books?
Some of them are in Greek.
True as it can be.
Early evening comes, there's somebody else, unexpectedly. Certain as a sun.
Rising in the east.
Tell us all this time. Tell me! Tell us all this time. Beauty and the Beast.
Please, again, go watch Beauty and the Beast. I think you will enjoy it. And that's all for now. Thank you and God bless.